Welcome to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School, where we explore all kinds of things, stories about quilting, tools, field trips, maybe some famous quilters stop by, and, of course, a little bit of copyright thrown in just for fun. This is Elizabeth Townsend Guard, your host, and I'm a law professor at Tulane University Law School and a faculty fellow at the A.B. Friedman School of Business at Tulane. And I just want to quilt. So today we're talking with Dorothy Lanahan of Project Wool. She is an entrepreneur creating wool mats with little cute sheep on the corner. And we talked to her about her entrepreneurial experiences. Tell me your name and where you're calling from.
Sure. I'm Dorothy Lanahan, and I'm calling from Percival, Virginia.
Awesome. And what's your first memory of someone sewing or quilting in your life?
That would definitely be a sewing memory, and actually, I think I was probably 9 years old. We actually grew up overseas, and we were living in Angola, Africa.
Wow.
And so my dad had a coworker who had a son who was our age, and he had a grandmother from Cuba, and she was an amazing sewist. I'm sure she did all kinds of things. And so I guess since we were homeschooled, my mother must have hired her to give us lessons, or she offered, or something like that. So I still have these strips of fabric that she hemmed up for us, and we hand sewed, all the different stitches, and there's buttons on there. And she made us beds for our dolls, or we technically made them, but
right.
I think she mostly made them.
I love that.
And she was just a lovely person. And I think starting then, I just started to really be interested in being able to make things myself, because she kind of showed us, if you want this, you can make it,
Right.
So
right.
that was my start.
I love it. Okay, so tell me a little bit about what Project Wool is. Tell us a little bit about how you got started and what this is.
Sure. I got started really, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have 4 little kids, and I homeschool them, and so that's kind of what I'm doing. And I just kind of felt like I wanted to try to do something on the side. I craft a lot, kind of a jack of all trades, master of none, probably more like that. But and so I really love wool everything. I knit and crochet with wool. Wool is just kind of my favorite thing. So I was just kind of looking into kind of all kinds of crafting things like that, and I came upon the wool pressing mat, and then I just started doing all of this research because I'm a researcher, and I like to find the best. If I'm going to buy something for crafting, I want it to be the best thing. I'm just kind of obsessive like that. So I just started calling people about these wool mats. I wanted to improve them. I wanted to do it better. And what I found out along the way was that all of the wool mats basically are marketed as 100% wool. That's what everyone wants to hear, 100%, and imputes more value. So everyone wants to see that number, but honestly, I would be surprised if any of them are 100% wool, because as we all know, wool spouts. So if you have just 100% wool, what it's going to do is if you expose it to high heat or steam, it's going to wrinkle or buckle and kind of distort. So they have to blend in, just a little bit of something to keep it stable, which is fine, that makes sense. But what I found is that what that is blended in could be a pretty high quantity, sometimes unnecessarily so, because the people who are producing these wool mats are just industrial felt producers. They do it for industrial uses, so insulation, things like that. So it's not really meant for quilters. It's not meant for, hot iron to be put onto it necessarily, and those other fibers that they're blending in are not necessarily great quality. So that's what I worked with my manufacturer, was to come up with a mat that had a low amount of blended fibers, and that those fibers would be actually meant for quilters. So as far as I know, this is the first one where those fibers are really high quality, high heat fibers. You can leave your iron on it. It's not going anywhere.
And so did you find the wool? Like, how did that process, like, how did you hunt for wool that would work? Does that make sense? So
I was hunting for manufacturers mostly. I was calling people up, and I was asking about all of these quality specifications. So they have, this F7 wool and F11, and there's all of these standards. And so I was saying, what does this mean? Can I get white wool? What's the difference? So the different numbers basically tell you how much wool is blended in or how densely it's felted. And I talked to him and I said, I want to do something different. I want to do something for quilters. So the guy that I finally found is a wool, felt, and other thing manufacturer, a big company in New York, and they've been doing felt for a long time. So he was the one that came up with this product for me. And so they already source their wool from farms, New Zealand, Australia, and South Africa. So they have the sheep and they have the wool and they have the process set up, but they just came up with something specifically for quilters.
Yeah,
in the way they do the felting and the blend.
And so then once you found him, you make him in two sizes, right? 14 by 14 and 20 by 50.
Yes, and I just started with the 14 by 14. That was I didn't have a lot of capital. I didn't have anything. I mean, I just had my idea, So I just started off. I ordered 200 14 by 14 mats, and I went onto Instagram, which I had never used in my life, in March. And I went on Instagram, and I had my sample mat, and I took a picture of it. I took a bunch of pictures for Amazon, and they weren't even on Amazon yet. They hadn't even gotten there. And I just started doing shoestring marketing. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then the mats hit Amazon, and I gave away coupon codes, and I collaborated with, some wonderful people who reached out to me. And
you did some giveaways, right? Were you doing giveaways?
Yeah, I started with giveaways. I did a lot.
Yeah.
So I needed
All right,
some
so
attention.
I have a bunch of questions. So tell me about the logo. Tell me about how it gets on the mat, your little sheep that's so adorable.
Yes, so it started out as just a stock logo that I came up with just for my project because I felt like I needed a logo. And as I was going along the way, I met a lovely quilter. Her name is Rachel, and she has her handle on Instagram that's Fiona Sandwich, and she does these English paper piecing things. And so we were kind of chatting, talking on the phone. She was giving me advice, and I said, I want a new logo, and I want it to be able to be a quilt pattern. And can you come up with something like that? And she said, sure. So she went to make these cute little animals, and she made me the sheep logo, and it's also a quilt pattern. So
yeah, I want to make it.
The pattern comes with it.
Right.
And you can actually sew it. So I love that. I think it's adorable. Everyone seems to love it. And so then I went to my manufacturer, and I said, I had already asked him, could I put a logo on the mat? And he gave me a few options. Obviously, I wanted something that, couldn't bleed or do anything like that. So he has this printer who does it. I don't know how he does it, but it's this stamp basically, but it goes into the fibers, and the ink or whatever he uses, it cannot turn to liquid again. Like it can't become viscous. So it's completely safe to do anything you want on. So that's the story of that, and we love that little sheep.
I love it. And then tell me a little bit about Amazon. How did you get onto Amazon, and how difficult was it to sell on it? And how does that process work? Are you shipping things out once you get an Amazon sale, or what are you doing exactly with Amazon?
Right. So I started off on Amazon because as with all the children and everything in my life, I just couldn't afford to be somebody who was mailing out packages one by one. That would have been a little bit too much. So I went to Amazon. That was how I wanted to start, just to kind of get things going because they have the platform that I didn't have. I researched and read and watched videos for months before I even started contacting the manufacturer because I wanted to figure out Amazon. They make it sound a little bit easy. I think I thought that it was going to be something I could kind of master in a week or two of my researching ways, but it really, once I started going through the process, it took a lot of time. There were a lot of things that I needed to learn. But eventually I got it up on Amazon, and the way that it works is that I order them from my manufacturer, and when he finishes the mats, he ships them to Amazon, and then Amazon does the fulfillment. So that's why they call it Fulfilled by Amazon. It's my mat. It's up there with all of my information. But when somebody orders, Amazon is in charge of everything else. They mail it to them.
That's very cool.
And
you're right now, you're Amazon's choice for Project Wool pressing mats. Did you know that?
That's good.
Yes. So that's very cool.
So I'm working on that.
Right. And that's partly, Amazon probably prioritizes those that they already know are on stock that they can do the Amazon Prime. Right. So it's a whole thing. Now, how much Now, with the manufacturing and with Amazon, like, how much profit are you making off of, I mean, like, percentage, like, is it still worth it? Like, is the cost of it prohibited? You know what I mean? Like, how they sell for $35 on Amazon, and which is such a great, reasonable price. Like, why wouldn't you buy one of these? And I'll tell you more about sort of our experiences with it in a minute. But, like, in terms of someone thinking about this, it seems like there's a lot of cost involved with what you're doing.
There is, and I tried to be realistic when I started off. I tried to, like, round up for all of my costs for everything. But manufacturing in the U.S., honestly, it does cramp your style a little bit. I'm committed to that. I went to the Chinese manufacturers. I've never tended to use them, but I just wanted to see what was out there. And I asked them a lot of the same questions that I asked the American manufacturers, and they didn't even know what I was talking about.
Interesting.
So if it's Chinese wool, honestly, it could be anything.
Right.
They really, so and the cost per mat for those Chinese manufacturers is like probably a quarter of what I pay or less. So it's kind of heartbreaking a little bit to see that, because people do buy those Chinese wool mats. They can sell them for half the price that I do and still make a profit.
Yeah.
But I really wanted it to be good wool, a good mat. Somebody joked, you're going to leave this in your will. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's hard because I also, as a consumer, I like it when I feel like people are fair and they're making a product that's high quality, but they want it to be affordable for everyone. Yeah. And I feel like this is a premium product, but I wish that everyone could have one. So I'm not selling it for $60. I could, and I probably should if I wanted to make a better margin. But I'm working on it. I'm kind of going slow, and I want to make sure that it's not detracting from my family. So I'm not really hammering at it, especially right now where we bought a house. We're in the middle of a move.
Totally get it. Yes. Okay, and then giveaways. How important is it as what role do giveaways play in your business model and in sort of your experience with giveaways?
Yes, I love giveaways, especially I feel like I basically do all my marketing right now on Instagram. I like to talk to people one-on-one. I like to answer messages and keep it kind of personal.
Yeah.
I've run ads and things like that, but I love the giveaway because it gives me a chance to kind of get to know the real person on the other side of that giveaway.
Yeah.
And then also, especially if I find somebody who's already a big influencer in the quilting world, and I gain a lot more followers, which are then obviously people who are going to hopefully turn around and buy the mat.
Right.
So I have more people seeing what I have to say. So it has helped me. I mean, I started off obviously with 0 followers mid-March, and I have, I think, like close to 4,500.
That's amazing.
So a lot of that is because of the giveaways.
Yeah, because of the giveaways.
Definitely.
Interesting. I love it. Okay, so here's our experience with the mat. First, I'm way into, I'm trying to understand and work on curved piecing. So it's really complicated and hard, and lots of bad things happen when you're doing curved piecing. So I'm doing this glorified 9 patch, which is an AccuQuilt, is one of our sponsors for this, and so I'm trying to master this, and it's hard. So the first ones I did were okay, but not great. Then your mat arrived, and the pressing on the mat made a huge difference. Like your whole thing of like sewing, like I don't really understand the technology, but it made it flatter and better and made it possible to do the curved piecing where I don't think it was possible before the mat arrived. So that's the first part of it, which I think is incredible. Do you feel like people say that to you all the time, that it's like changing the preciseness of their quilting?
Yes, I do hear that all the time. I hear people saying, as almost silly as it sounds, like people say things like life changing and how did I ever do without it?
Right, it is life changing.
But it does make a huge difference.
It makes a huge difference. Why? Why does it make a huge difference? What is it doing differently that when I do regular pressing it doesn't, but this it does? Like what is the wool doing that's so different?
So wool, I mean, this is why I love wool. Wool is just such a magical fiber. It really does everything. I mean, that's why they do use it for insulation and things like that. It has the way that the fibers are made up and the way that they also felt together.
Yeah.
They insulate and they also hold heat, and they're so strong and durable. So what happens is that when you felt the mat up and it's a nice density, you know, like not too firm, not too soft.
Yeah.
Then what happens is when you put your iron on top of it, the wool takes all that heat and it absorbs it, so it gets really hot. So it's like you have another iron on the other side of your fabric.
That's right.
First of all,
Yeah.
you know, at the same time. Like,
Yeah.
So pressing from both sides, as you can imagine.
It's
amazing. Your ironing board
Yeah.
is not going to heat up like that. It's
Yeah.
just, it stays kind of the same. And
It
then
stays
it
the
also has this kind of, you know, section, I guess, where it holds your fabric in place, but it has enough give that it's not going to stretch and pull on those seams.
Yeah.
And it also just has just enough where your fabric will kind of sink into it, and it won't pull and stretch. So it just kind of does all the things that you really need it to do.
It feels like you've got a third hand in some way, right? Like like it's like letting you do more than you could do if it's just on an ironing board. It's really cool.
Exactly.
Also, I felt like, you know, I'm really trying to perfect this ridiculous, like I've done like a lot of them and I'm like, yep, not good enough, right? So I'm like kind of like a crazy mad scientist trying to get this block perfect. But the other thing I sort of find is that this block, for me at least, needs to be blocked. So I can take the mat and line it up on the edges of the mat and sort of manipulate the fabric a little bit and block the block itself. And that is really changing, like, because it wasn't quite, whatever reason, for my sewing, the fabric, whatever it is, it wasn't staying straight. So, but now that I'm doing that and starching, it's okay to starch. Is it okay to use starch on the wool mat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
Okay, good. Okay. So I'm able to sort of block these blocks with the starch and the wool so that they're exactly the way I want them to be. And I wasn't able to do that before. So I thought that was really interesting too, that you can manipulate it a little bit more because you've got that the heat from both sides. So it's really taking. It's just been great. I can't wait to keep going. So I did like one this morning, and I'm almost right. So I need to do it again. It's like it is getting ridiculous, is all I'm saying. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad the mat is helping, and yeah, the edges. I definitely use the edges myself for kind of keeping things straight and lining them up. So
yeah, it's really helps. It's fantastic. And then, of course, the most important use of the mat is that once you finish ironing, the kittens really want to be on the wool mat. So I think that's pretty interesting.
Yes.
Like the warmth, because it's all warm now, and you've been pressing. So at least one of them is on the mat at all times, which I think is really interesting. They've decided that is so it's a very much of a cat attractor, which I think is interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, you know, I've seen people that make cat beds out of wool felt. My cats don't lie on the mat. They sink their claws into it.
Oh,
so I
really?
have to hide it.
Oh, that's not good. Oh, well, I hope they don't start doing that. That's terrible.
So
well, right now they just think it's warm and cuddly, so that's really good. But that would be bad. I guess you could make a cat scratcher out of it, but it's too pretty. The other thing is, for those that are listening, they're just really pretty mats, and the little logo is just so pleasant. I just think it's really great. Well, you're just such an entrepreneur. Now, it's a family-run business. Let me ask you, I have two more questions for you. So tell me a little bit about sort of how, are you running it on your own? Are other people helping? How hard is it with 4 kids and homeschooling? How do you keep it all together?
Sometimes I don't keep it all together, if I'm being honest. But I do, so I basically do it all myself. Now, I have a website. I sell both sizes of mat on my website now. I wanted to have that in addition to Amazon, and my husband did the whole website for me, and he kind of does anything that I need. If I'm like, I need a coupon, or I need you to do this or that, he can help me with that. So he does that kind of technological side on the website, and then I do the technological side on Amazon, and basically just customer service. I feel like that's, now that I have the mat taken care of and I have the logo taken care of, it's just customer service. And sometimes I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I need to post on Instagram, you know, and it's hard to do that with 4 little kids. It really is. It sounds silly, but it takes so long. So it's hard for that sometimes. If I have like 20 emails all of a sudden, I want to get back to people right away, and I don't want to leave anyone hanging. So there is sometimes I just tell myself, I'm doing this and I want to make sure that I'm here for people. I could be doing so much more. I mean, I could be really like attacking this right now, and it's just not the season in my life that I can be doing that. But I'm here for people, and I'm committed to it, obviously. And I'm looking around. I'd like to collaborate. I'd like to get maybe a small version into those quilting subscription boxes. So I haven't had as much time now to reach out to people, which I was doing a lot. But that's in the works for me.
Now tell me, you on your website right now, you have quilt cruise attendees. Please use name of cruise. Are you working with cruise companies? Like what is that about?
Yeah, so I'd love to find a quilt company. The thing is that most of them and most of the people who I'm kind of attracted to are small run businesses like me, or people who are just kind of, it's not the quilt, it's not the cruise line itself that's running it, but it's these people who set up meetings. And so they just don't have enough money, I guess, to order 200 mats at a time. But I did find one great woman who I sent her some mats to use on the cruise, and then I sent her some coupon codes. So she put the little flyers next to the mats, and then anybody who liked them could get in touch with me. So that was just kind of my first foray into that.
Also, if you want to do any kind of coupon code or giveaway with us, we're totally always open to that. Because we're doing things all the time. And then if we do a box, if we do a sort of a special Just Want to Quilt box, which we're thinking about doing, I love the size of it. I love the feel of it. It feels really warm and lovely. And it's really is making my curve piecing a lot better. And again, as I said, I have one more step to make it a little bit. I have to get some more. I have an idea of how to make it better. So. I'm a mad scientist at the moment, so.
That's great.
So you've been listening to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School. And I'm Elizabeth Townsend Garr. If you like this podcast, keep listening. Also, we have a Facebook group. Come join us. We talk about a lot of things. We also have an Instagram account. And of course, most importantly, I really hope you get a chance to quilt today.